Well. What can I say? We've had a lot of changes in the UFC champions roster specifically, right? We've had two new double champions in Taporia and Makachev. Given the recent news regarding Ilya Taporia's personal life, we may see a long hiatus now out of Taporia, potentially even him stepping away from the title role itself. In other words, vacating the title, just like Jamal Hill and Prohashka did when they suffered injuries. And we've also seen Marab now recently lose the belt to his former foe in Piotr Yan, one of the best um, two-time title performances that we've seen. And also, not to mention the 125 division, Pantoja losing the belt because of what can only be described as a fluke injury. Just his whole arm just busted open. Honestly, as a fan of Pantoja and his skill set and the legacy that he was building, it really sucked to see that because I don't think we were going to get the same Pantoja ever again. But putting that to the side, I thought given all the changes we've seen in the title pictures across the divisions, I thought it would be a cool activity to go through and predict who I think will be the UFC champion for each of those divisions by the end of 2026, and we can come back and review my assessment. So, starting off with the flyweight division, listen, I'm going Tatsuro Taira. The one thing I really like about Tatsuro Taira is his grappling, but it's not just his grappling, right? It's the way he grapples. He's got his own style of grappling, which is really effective in MMA. He has his own style to get the back and has demonstrated consistently excellent back control, which is sometimes lacking in other fighters, right? They get the back, but then they can't maintain that back control. But Taylor is just a beast. He knows what he's doing, and his striking is just rapidly improving as well. He was fighting Moreno, and he was just tagging Moreno. And I know Moreno gets tagged here and there in fights, but I thought he was doing really well against Moreno in the striking. And I like what I'm seeing, especially in a fight against Van, which I think the UFC is definitely going to make next. I don't think they're going to make. I don't think they're going to put Cap into the title picture just yet. I think they're going to do Taira versus Van. I think Taira beats Van, and then they might make Cap versus whoever the champion would be at the time, and Cap would be a deadly matchup for any of these guys. But to be honest with you, I think Taira's grappling is really good. I think it's comparable, if not better, to Makhayev's, and we saw Makhachev have win his fight against Cap, right? I think Taira could do something similar. He's also young. He's got a lot of improvements to be made, because he's still young in his MMA career. He's just going to be soaking up all that knowledge like a sponge, and I can't wait to see how he improves. And yeah, like I said, Pantoja's going to be out for a long time. I think Pantoja would be the one guy who would pose a real threat in beating Taira, but he's going to be out for a while. Even when he comes back, not going to be the same. Onto the bantamweight division. Listen, I'm going to glaze Umar Magomedov, but listen, you got to hear me out here, right? The broken hand theory. What is the broken hand theory? It's really simple. Piotr Yan fought Marab and broke his hand and got 50-45. He had the rematch, fought with a non-broken hand and practically 50-45 Marab in return. But when Nurmagomedov had a broken hand in his field, which I am, the assumption here is that he's telling the truth. He got 48-47, which is crazy with a broken hand. Now, granted, he could have broke his hand later on in the fight, but still, even the later rounds were reasonably competitive, right? So I think a healthy Nurmagomedov would do well. Now, I know Marab's not the champ, but the point here is that performance against Marab isn't 100% Nurmagomedov, right? I think he can do better. and I think he will. And against Piotr Yan, I don't think Piotr Yan has the same kind of style in the cardio department, using that cardio and that relentless pressure. Piotr Jan's a bit more of a slower starter, and I think that will actually benefit Nurmagomedov here. I think he could beat someone like Yan. So I think by the end of 2026, I got my bets on Nurmagomedov. Onto the featherweight division. Diego Lopez. Listen, the script is in. They're doing the rematch between Lopez and Volk because they know Volk has aged just that much more. And in the sport of MMA, especially in the featherweight division, just those few months of added time is enough to lose you a match, especially when you got dropped in the first fight. I could see him dropping him again, and this time capitalizing or dropping him even harder and getting the finish. I think he'll, I think he'll win. I genuinely think he'll win. And it sucks because I think Volk would have beat someone like Mobsar who doesn't have the same level of power, and that would have actually added to his legacy. Listen, the UFC wants a Mexican champion so badly. They're desperate for a Mexican champion, and they're gonna do whatever they can to make sure they get one. Moving on to the lightweight division. Listen, Taporia is out for a while, so it's almost on a technicality that Taporia is going to be the champ by the end of 2026. But that's assuming he doesn't vacate, which is a chance he gets. You know, the chance he vacates. There's also a chance he may even get stripped potentially, depending on how his personal life and the situation he's dealing with as far as the separation proceedings go. That's going to turn into a very hairy situation. Whatever the truth is, I hope the truth comes out. But yeah, I mean, just based on that, I think Taporia is going to end up remaining the champ. But having said that, there's a bit of a caveat here. I think if this is what I believe. I think Taporia is going to be out for a long enough time, and as a result of that, I think Armand is end up going to he's going to end up being the interim champion, assuming Taporia doesn't actually vacate. If Taporia vacates, I see Armand being the undisputed by the end of 2026. I don't think this Taporia situation is gonna go over in a couple of months. It's gonna be at least a year for sure. And I believe they started around like August, September. Things got a bit more public just in the last couple of weeks. I think we're looking at, yeah, end of 2026 pretty much at the earliest for Taporia to come back. There's no way he comes back before because this is gonna get really hairy, I think. And yeah, that's a separate topic. But yeah, I think Armin and Taporia are gonna stay on top. Taporia, if he sits out for longer, Armin's going to be the interim champion. If Taporia vacates, Armin will become the undisputed champion by the end of 2026. Moving on to the welterweight division. Listen, I'm glazing the daggies today, right? To be fair, I'm always glazing the daggies. I can't lie. But listen, I want to see Makhachev really cement his legacy. This would be a generational talent. We wouldn't have seen anything like this in the UFC before or in MMA. Beating guys on double digit win streaks has not been witnessed before in MMA to the degree that Makhachev is doing it. He's doing it to multiple people. He beat Armin when Armin was on a 12 fight win streak. Then he beat Oliveira, who's on like an 11 fight win streak in the UFC. Then he beat Volk, who's on like a 22 fight win streak and a double digit win streak within the UFC. Then he beat JDM, who's on an 18 fight win streak. It's crazy. And listen, and Gary Morales is undefeated as well. Shavkat, imagine he fights Shavkat, beats him, another double digit win streak under his belt. That would be once, not even once in a generation. That's like once in a freaking that would be the first for the UFC, and I can't wait to see it. Listen, I'm here for it. I think he's got the skill set. He's got excellent positional grappling, and his takedown ability with the judo is so effective within MMA. He can do that traditional style of grappling, going to the just going for the double leg, going for the body lock, stuff like that. But he's excellent with the chain wrestling. You can chain it into a trip or a throw if he sees it available for him. And his striking is really good as well. His leg kicks are clearly at an elite level for it to be effective, right, against someone like JDM. Listen, I'd love to see him. keep it going. It's going to be a hard, hard task because they've got some killers in the 170 division. Moving on to middleweight. Listen, Chimaev, his grappling was too strong. And I said effective striking. Listen, his striking on its own isn't the best, right? But I guess what I mean by this is it kind of helps to open up the grappling a bit more as well because he does have a bit of meat in his punches. He's got a bit of power in his punches. We've seen him drop burns with a jab. We've seen him knock out a couple of people before, and his grappling is just going to get opened up even more. And his grappling already on its own is super, super strong. He's got excellent control, excellent top pressure. And I see him being championed for a long, long time, assuming his fight IQ doesn't fail him. Moving on to the light heavyweight division, this is where it gets complicated because I could see striking is too good, right? There's no denying it's really good. We've got Carlos Ulberg coming up in the ranks. I don't think Carlos Ulberg has the skills. That was a very slow paced fight for Carlos Ulberg against Jan. I was not impressed with that. And he's lost before as well by gassing out in the UFC. You can't be like that. You can't be gassing out in the UFC in a 3 round or whatever it was, right? I don't think he's got the skills. I could though see. I know I said Azamat. Azamat's got punching power, and maybe that would be the equalizer against someone like Bahia because Bahia likes he likes to open up. He likes to be open. He gets hit. That's how easy he knocked him out. I could see Azamat knocking him out as well. But listen, I think Ant could actually beat him in a trilogy. I could see Ant beating him in a trilogy. And this is something else I'm going to say as well. I could see Bahia just leaving the light heavyweight division if Tom Aspinall stays out for a long enough time and he'll end up going up to the heavyweight division to challenge Cyril Gahn for the heavyweight belt or the interim heavyweight belt. And I could see Ant just, recapturing the light heavyweight strap. Honestly, I could see Ant. I regret putting Pereira here. I think Ant could do it. I think Ant could do it by the end of 2026. I think Pereira's going to move up. I don't think Pereira is going to stick around for too much longer in the light heavyweight division. I think Ant is going to recapture that belt. So ignore that Pereira's here. I'm betting on Ant. I'm just glazing the daggers today. Heavyweight. Listen, it's Tom Aspinall, right? Here's the thing. Yeah, was he getting tagged a little bit against Cyril? Yes, he was. I'm telling you right now, he's going to emphasize the grappling even more in the rematch against Cyril or whoever else he faces in his next fight. He's going to emphasize the grappling that much more. He's just going to, like Chimaev style. You start up on the feet and then you just shoot lightning fast, go for the legs. You basically rugby tackle him. He's going to do that. He's going to do something like that. I do think he'll beat someone like Cyril in a rematch. I'm sorry, like I know Cyril had his. I just think Aspinall. I know he had a couple of attempts. I don't know if they were the best attempts, the best takedown attempts against Cyril. And I think Aspinall kind of probably fell in love with his striking a little bit because he was knocking people out left and right. He was knocking out Blades. He was knocking out Pavlovich. You know, he was knocking out you name it. But I think he's gonna realize, you know what, I'm gonna go back to my bread and butter, and that is his grappling. He grew up doing grappling. I think he's going to do it, and I think he'll get the win. And Cyril is older as well, and I get it. It's a heavyweight division. To be honest with you, you can be in your late 30s, and that's fine at the heavyweight level and the light heavyweight level as well. But still, when someone's significantly younger than you got to favor that. And I think Aspinall is. My second point: there's not really much talent within the heavyweight division. There's no one else really to threaten Tom Aspinall for his strap. I think by that virtue, he's going to remain a champion as well. I hope I don't eat my words. I hope he doesn't lose. We need. It was suck to see Cyril get the belt because of the fact that he did lose to Jones, and Jones's shadow is gonna loom over the division, and we don't want that. We need to move past Jones, who's now retired, and we need to have new talent. We need to have that question mark of, hey, is Tom Aspinall actually better than Jones? Would he have even beaten Jones? But if Cyril wins, we know what the answer is to that. Listen, that concludes my UFC champion predictions by the end of 2026. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.